Commerce, Mark Teo. We are honored today to be hosting the annual luncheon keynote event with the City of Salmon Arm. Before I introduce our mayor, I wanted to take some time to provide some updates and discuss initiatives the Chamber is working on. Firstly, I would like to recognize all our members serving the Salmon Arm community on their resilience and adaptation to this last year. 2020 presented challenges that most, if not all, risk management plans were not prepared for. The pandemic caused interruptions and change in every industry and business sector. Technology has become a key factor to continuing communication in this changing business landscape, and we thank you all for meeting with us virtually for our event today. Communication and engagement are going to be key initiatives for the Chamber going forward. As most of you know, at the end of last year, our former Executive Director, Corin Grayson, moved on from the Chamber. Corin still will be acting in a mentorship role in the community, so you will most definitely see her around. We would like to thank Corin for all her work she has done with the Chamber over the years and wish her the best on her new endeavors, and hopefully some relaxation. With the closure of the Visitor Center, the Chamber Board of Directors wanted to have a new Executive Director direct their efforts towards engaging with our Chamber members 100% of the time and fostering growth and opportunities within the Salmon Arm business community. At the end of last year, we began searching for the right fit to lead our organization in the areas of advocacy, networking, membership benefit program, and business development. The new executive director will be responsible for strategic planning, daily operations of the Chamber, and supporting our members to assist them in economic prosperity and sustainability in our community. Yeah, there she is. I'm happy to introduce our new executive director, Carolyn Rennie, who began with the Chamber just a month ago. Carolyn joins us from a diverse background in insurance, meteorology, catastrophe tracking, management and mitigation, and volunteer involvement on numerous not-for-profit boards. Originally from Toronto, she fell in love with the beauty of the Shuswap and moved to Salmon Arm in 2017. Over the past couple of years, she has found the residents and the business community in Salmon Arm very welcoming and is looking forward to connecting and engagement with each one of our members. If you haven't heard from Carolyn already, she'll soon be connecting with you to discuss the needs of your business and the ways in which the Chamber can support your business. We welcome you to contact Carolyn directly by phone or via email. Over the last 30 days, Carolyn has been working on ongoing initiatives to help move the Chamber forward into the new times ahead. Here are some of the things we're working on. Membership review. Full review of each of our members, including updating membership listings, contact details, and adding logos, connecting social media links, and connecting social media platforms. Discussing affinity benefits from the BC Chamber, including the Chamber's group benefits plan, travel and accommodation discounts, and preferred pricing on business services. Exploring ways to participate in our member-to-member benefit program, reviewing and advertising marketing opportunities, and collecting feedback on local challenges and areas and the ways the Chamber could help provide benefit to all our members. Our website, update the membership directory, add a 2021 membership rates, including special COVID pricing, contact us page to allow quick communication directly from the membership, events, chambers with Chamber and member events of note, including free seminars hosted by various partners associations, update to member benefit program, featuring deals from Safer Space Pro, Merit-Based Marketing, Sterling Media, and Get in the Loop Shuswap. The complimentary chamber membership donated to the Shuswap Trail Alliance silent auction, participation in empowering employment events through Okanagan College. The chamber is looking into producing a similar events to help produce employment recruitment opportunities in Salmon Arm and highlight business support for members in the area. Looking forward, Carolyn is open to input from each of our members as every voice matters. We are currently accepting nominations for our new board members until March the 5th. If you are unsure if you want to be a director or on the chamber board, you still want to be involved in the chamber, there are several committees that are meeting next week in the area of policy and advocacy, membership and retention and recruitment, and marketing and events. We would welcome participation on these committees and look forward to providing information on new events as we move forward into the rest of the year. Thank you for your attention. Just a reminder to please hold your questions and remain muted until the end of the presentation, where we'll have a time for a Q&A. Just raise your hand as the function or type in your question into the meeting chat. It is now my esteemed honor to introduce the Mayor of Salmon Arm, Alan Harrison, to provide the keynote address, State of the City.
Thank you, Mark. I'm just going to adjust my screen a little bit. Mark, can you see my screen up now? Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much, Mark, and thank you, Carolyn, for your welcome and helping organize me and get this all set up. Much appreciated. Welcome to all chamber members, friends out there, and business and industry. First of all questions will be welcomed, whether they're part of this presentation or not. If you have questions that you would like to ask, I'd be happy to do my best to answer them at the end of the presentation. I'm not presenting about the pandemic today, nor about COVID-19, but would be welcome to answer any questions you might have about the city's response to both. So, today's presentation really is about us. It's about we, because we are the community. And I know Bonnie Henry says we are in this together, but we really are in this together, not in the pandemic. We are in our community together. And everyone's story is important. Business's story is important. Industry story is important. Individual story is important. It doesn't matter whether you're the mayor, a frontline worker, an MP, an MLA, a teacher, a health worker. Your story is important. And the story you tell helps put together the personality of our community. This is a slide that I presented at the luncheon last year, January 15th, 2020. And I thought I would reflect and look back. And one thing that has not changed is where we want to go. We want to begin with the end in mind. We want to know what our end goals are. And we want to move forward. And our messaging, our incentives, our signaling, what we do will show that we want to move forward. We also want to grow at a steady rate. We want to try to mitigate economic ups and downs through diversification. Diversification in every way, in business, in people, in age, in kind of people we have in our city. We want to diversify and diversify our economy. I want to talk about Balraj and Joey. Balraj is a software engineer and Joey is a nurse. They live in Surrey. They're thinking of relocating. And one of the places they're thinking of relocating to is Salmon Arm. So I try to keep in mind people like Balraj and Joey when I make decisions. And what conditions do we need to create an environment where they will consider coming here? Well, first of all, the reason they are thinking of relocating, safety is high on their priority. They're in a community where they're going to want to start a family and they want to have a safe community. Fortunately, Salmon Arm is extremely safe, one of the lowest crime rates in BC, and especially serious crime. We also want to ensure that there's a spectrum of housing, so somewhere that's attractive for them to live. Childcare is important to Balraj and to Joey. They plan on having a family. Indoor and outdoor recreational infrastructure. We know that the young people today want quality of life. They want to be able to do things outside of their workplace. And the commute piece is big to them. We're very fortunate to have places close by where you can recreate. And of course, we need to be attractive to business and industry, so there's employment for them here. We're doing well. This is our population, BC stats. And as I said, we want to grow at a healthy, steady rate. We know we're the hub of the Shuswap. We have a draw of about 50,000, but we are approaching that magic number of 20,000 within our city. It's an important number because when you hit 20,000, there are industry and commercial ventures that start to seriously look at your city and an investment. I want to show you building permit value trends. And as you can see from this graph, 2008, 2009, world economy, national economy, provincial economy, tumbled. And it's reflected here. Since that time, our building permit stats have continued to grow in every area. And we had an excellent year last year. We didn't know what was going to happen, and we are off to a super start this year. Our development and planning staff processed 1,100 building permits in the last 3 years. A mayor can't talk about his community without talking about taxes, and I am proud to talk about how we manage our financial house here at the city. Bonnie Threlkeld, Monica Dalziel, now Chasey Van de Capelle, amazing women who have led and guided this city and this council to a financial position where we are solid. The average tax increase in Salmon Arm in the last decade has been 1.5%. We've been blessed, of course, by growth, which adds probably an extra 2% of spending to that. But I would challenge any city in the province that had a lower tax rate than the one that we have met. We want to keep money in the pockets of our residents as much as possible while providing all of the infrastructure and the things that we want. So the economic development arm of the city is through economic development, which operates out of the Innovation Center downtown. They have the same attitude as us. We want to be diverse. We need to be nimble. We need to stay current. Two of their main goals are, one, support present industry and business, and two, business and industry attraction. The most important businesses and industry in our city are the ones that are here right now. And from experience, we know that through supporting them, they will grow. And there's many examples: Foresight, Valid, USNR, Atom, Integrated, and many of your businesses, big or small, over time with success, they grow. And so we need to make sure that we support them. We are blessed to have an economic development officer, Lana Fitt, who not only is energetic and enthusiastic, but is known throughout the province as a leader, and it is attracting attention here. As I've said, diversification is the key. Many of you know that Maclean's magazine found us to be the 6th best place to live in Canada. #1 in Western Canada, #1 west of Ontario. We already knew that, but that came from an outside source. So most recently, BC Business Magazine, which ranks cities and used to be the best place to work in BC, now it's the most economically resilient cities. Here's our record. 2018, we were 32nd. This is all cities over 10,000 population in BC. In 2019, we're 19th. In 2020, we're 7th. And this year, we are 6th, the 6th most economically resilient city in the province, and the only one outside the Lower Mainland of Vancouver Island. This is what they said. Thanks to the refreshed methodology, this year's top cities look much different from 2020, yet much the same. In fact, the city that was number 1 last year is now in the 30s. Despite our new indicators, the township of Langley, number 4, Salmon Arm, number 6, Courtney, number 7, and Kelowna, number 10, make a repeat showing in the top 10, underscoring their resiliency across a range of metrics. So this is an outside source. And what I see this as, this is part of our resume. It's a piece of the resume, same as the McLean's piece. We don't stop there though. As you know, a resume only gets you an interview, and that is the important piece. That is where we come in. When they phone the mayor, when they phone the economic development officer, when they come to your business, when they have supper at your restaurant, when they come out to the industrial park to visit, when they look around the community, the story you tell is important because that is where the impression is made. We have the resume, and then we pass on our next look through you. I wanted to add these. Economic development is following along exactly in that way. The big welcome is something that for business and industry, you may want to take a look at. The first event is on February the 23rd, and this is to provide those frontline staff that I was talking about. The person who's at your counter, who the Belraj and Joey come into their store and say, hey, what's there to do in Salmon Arm? How do you like it here? If the response is a correct response, that's one more peg that we have. So the big welcome is something you might want to think about. The big prep is the second one, and this is really current and taking advantage of social media and exposure to high volume tourism platforms. Economic development will work with your business one-on-one to assist you in generating and expanding your digital listings. That's something to be aware of, and you can find out on their site. And the last one is Salmon Arm's Top 20 Under 40 program. I included that because it's about youth. It's about people under 40 years of age who are entrepreneurs and achievers in our community. You can find out more about that program either at the Chamber social media or by following SABS. A little bit of information for you. This is Salmon Arm's urban containment boundary. You may not have seen this map before. It's been in place for about 30 years, and it is a very important map. I'll just show you with my cursor, so you know there's the bay, downtown Salmon Arm, Industrial Park, Canoe, Glen Eden. So inside the red boundary, properties can be subdivided. Outside the boundary, they may not be subdivided, except Glen Eden, and they have to be at least 5 acres. So why is that? This is why. The percentage of land base within the city of Salmon Arm. And you can see from this pie graph, 38% of our lands are agricultural land reserve. 35% are crown forest. So right away, 75% of the lands cannot be subdivided. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. The agricultural land reserve is very valuable, but it's important to understand it. 11.5% is developed already. Our First Nations neighbors have about 6% of the land base, and 3.8% is environmentally sensitive. Parks and trails take up 1.8%. That leaves 3.4% left. That square, that yellow square on the bottom right-hand corner of this map is 3.4%. So we need to make sure we use that land the very best we can. And densification is the key. So we talked about housing, and Belraj and Joey looking at that. That's an important piece for young couples. Here is some densification. Nonprofit on the right, market on the left. You're going to see buildings that are higher. You're going to see buildings that are apartment-like. This is a kind of housing in the spectrum that we need to supply. And we want to look at all the housing in the spectrum. Here's 3 more examples. We have 2 single-family housing subdivisions coming on track, Lambs Hill here and Gary Messier's up on 10th. A change that has happened is those subdivisions now are mass rezoning to R8s, which allows secondary suite in the house or sometimes detached, depending on the building size. That's been a change that's happened about the last 5 years, and it is win-win as far as the city is concerned, because it's a mortgage helper for the person who wants to buy the property. It supplies an extra housing unit within the city. And because they mass zone it, A neighbor can't say, "Ooh, I don't want my neighbor doing that because it's going to cause me a problem." It's already done. So when you buy, you know it. It's a plus. Raspberry Ridge, a strata up on Rifle Range. On the right-hand side is Hillcrest Mews. Here's an example of density increase. This is up by the Hillcrest area. It's a CD zone, which is a special zone that allows shorter setbacks from your neighbor, narrower streets, and buildings closer together, including duplexes. Everybody thinks smart growth is good and densification is good. Not everyone supports it when it's beside them. And so council has continued to look at the big picture. If you go to Hillcrest Mews right now, it is a building boom. And who's moving there? People like Belraj and Joey. That's what we want. A couple more examples. McDermott's down the left-hand side. Again, a densification. You look behind that house and there's a much older house. It's an older subdivision with some densification. It's a bit of a fit. And so in order to make that happen, the council at rezoning needs to be clear on what their goals are. Above it, wonderful project out on 10th, which is commercial on the bottom, office space on the top, could be residential. And I don't want to forget our seniors. Seniors are so important in this community. Just think about everything they do. They come here and then they volunteer and they contribute to our economy. But they're easy to attract. So that's why our target is families. Joey and Belraj are going to have a family one day. And childcare is important. Council is not responsible for childcare. We don't supply it, but we can lay the table and help. So on the right-hand side, on the top, you might remember that as the little store. Now it's a childcare center for tykes and tots. The city helped there by rezoning, by assisting with grant application, by promoting. On the top left, this is up on 30th, another childcare center there. The city can help by rezoning, which we did, and we did supply some variances for off-site costs. That's things like lighting, like upgrades of water and sewer, like sidewalk. When we do that, that means that you, the taxpayer, helped bring that childcare center to Salmon Arm, offset it slightly in order to make it happen. Our neighbors, our good neighbors in Esconolith, Swift Mall Childcare Center, we promote that. This is a community asset that is open to everyone. And what a childcare center. It's amazing. We fully support the Esconolith, and they're seeking to improve their lifestyle as well. And following behind residential usually comes commercial. And here's some examples. Ashley Furniture on the left-hand side, Fairview by Marriott on the right-hand side. As the population grows, of course, the market determines commercial adding on as well. And that's why we see these things happening in our community. So when we talk about Belraj and Joey and what they like to do, Belraj likes to hike. She likes to swim. She likes to paint. Joey, he's a mountain biker. He likes to play frisbee golf as well. And he's also a golfer. So those are things that young people look at. Outdoor amenities, our walking paths, our cycling paths, our hiking places, skiing places, those are important. So we need to pay attention. I'm just going to show you this briefly, this official community plan greenways strategy. The Trail Alliance during these times has been a savior to many. Getting outdoors and the work that they've done in conjunction with the city, we help fund them, they do the work. Phil McIntyre, Paul and his crew, amazing group. The green, I'll just show you a little bit. This is Park Hill up here, many of you know, Coyote here, Little Mountains down here. There's the waterfront trail as well. Of course, many of these orange ones that are not publicly in place, although some of them are on private lands, the city obtains pathways when there's rezonings. Also, we've had property owners donate their paths. And so we certainly are looking, the active transportation task force right now has formed. There's about 15 of your colleagues from the community actively working on an active transportation task force to come up with a strategy so that we can increase the cycling, biking, walking, and hiking opportunities in our community. the aquatic center and the rec center, I wanted just to talk to you a little bit about where that's at. So this year, we're investing $300,000 to get a Class C estimate. We've just started the process, and what the community has told us is the number one priority is a renewed aquatic center. Our present pool has served us very well from the 1980s. It's paid for, the rec center's paid for. Now we need to look at upgrading and what's next. And so we're listening to the community. There'll be further consultation this year, and we're working towards a Class C estimate. The reason that is important is a city our size cannot build this alone. You're looking at $40, $50 million. We need regional district participation because, of course, those residents out there use that facility. We need granting from higher levels of government, from federal government and provincial government. And we have a good relationship. That's why we build those relationships that have been helpful. So this project is moving forward. We're probably looking at late 2020s for construction of that project, depending on finances, but it is certainly in the works. Some of you have seen this map, so I apologize if you've seen it before, but I wanted just to go over it again. This is the Highway West project. I'll show you with my cursor. Here's DeMills, Pedro's. Here is the present highway and the bridge, present bridge. Here is a new bridge. If you go out there right now, you will see this gap in the berm that's been built. And, oops, sorry. The gap that's been built here that's going to join these two traffic circles. The city made a decision to adopt this bridge. The reason we did that is because we wanted these businesses to have access from this side. They're going to lose their direct access off the highway. So that was important. It's an asset and a liability in a sense. The province is sinking money into it so that it's current, but we will adopt that bridge and we will have to be responsible for it. The new one, of course, will be the responsibility of the provincial government. An important piece here is the blue piece, because that is the active transportation link, separated pathway, bicycle path beside the highway, one of the first included in MOTI's plans in the province. Why is it included here? Because of reasonable, objective, sensible lobbying on the part of everyone, particularly Phil McIntyre, Paul, and the Trail Alliance. Thanks to them when we're cycling that path. I'm going to show you the connecting piece now. So here is smart centers over here. An important piece of this, you can see the blue path continuing. The reason this is light blue is because it's already there. Two important pieces for the city. The south frontage road and the north frontage road will be completed. As you know, the south frontage road is not complete now. And so there will be access all the way from Silver Creek through to Piccadilly Mall without going on the highway. In addition, on the north side, the access will come to a light. You can see the light up on the right-hand side here. This is outside Westgate Market. Much, much safer. 4-laning of the highway, huge improvement. It's underway. These two sections will be finished in about the next year and a half, and they're going to be going at it hard this summer. So this is good. They're consulting with, MOTI is consulting with both Nisconluth and Adams Lake on their pieces, and those, I understand those are progressing fine. Two pieces of infrastructure that don't get much notoriety until your toilet doesn't flush, your water doesn't come out of your tap. So the water treatment plant on the left-hand side, pretty new, 2013. So we are well equipped for fresh water into the future. On the right-hand side is a pollution control center, which is a sewage piece. Basically what happens in the city is the sewage goes downhill and the water, we pump it up. So two pieces that we are going to replace, pump stations we need to replace. One is the pump station that pumps water out of the lake to this facility. And the second is at 5 Corners on South Broadview. It's under the ground there, so you may know where it is. It supplies water to Little Mountain, to Hillcrest, the industrial park, all of those areas. And it needs to be redone, about cost of $2.5 million. And we're going to relocate it into Little Mountain Park, closer to the reservoir and out from underneath the road there. Can't have a presentation about the Ross Street Underpass. We are going to tender this project at the end of this week. We're going to have a celebration here. Yahoo! It's been a lot of very dedicated and hard work on the part of city staff, in particular Carl Bannister, but working with CP. What I can tell you is this is going to be a walking, cycling, vehicle access to the gem of our community, the waterfront. And if you had your skates down there this weekend, I don't have to say anything more about why we need it. It is going to change the downtown. It is going to make the downtown even more vibrant. You'll be able to walk there, you'll be able to cycle there from both sides. I know people have been asking, it seems like it's taken a long time, but it's not for lack of working. Wow, we live here. So what now? So I think from my perspective, we need to continue to listen. We know that a local government, we don't get everything right. We don't pretend to be perfect, for sure. But we means we need to listen, we need to consider, we need to understand. Most importantly, we need to keep that goal in mind. Move forward, attract those young families. Think of Balraj and Joey. What I can tell you is Salmon Arm is on the map. People are talking about us throughout Western Canada. What does that mean? That means we need to work harder than ever. We need to work harder than ever to keep up the momentum and move forward in a positive way. Thank you for listening to me. I'm more than welcome to take any questions. And Mark, I'm not sure if you're going to facilitate that, but I'm welcome to take any questions people might have.
Carolyn will moderate the question and answer period.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's see, in terms of questions, if anyone has questions, you can raise your virtual hand. You can do that in reactions, or usually if you just right click on your name, or you can type a question in the chat. So I have a question to start, actually, because the Ross Street Underpass will be right across from my office. So I'm just wondering, will there be additional parking put in place for the wharf to allow additional access down here?
The parking, for the most part, is going to be on the city side. Plans for a parking structure are in place, but it's not on the lake side. We are going to be promoting and counting on people walking and cycling across there. So that is the parking plan. As you know, it's finite parking on that lakeside for sure.
All right, perfect. Any other questions? I put some instructions up there. I don't see any virtual hands raised. Question? Oh, Carmen? Yeah, go ahead.
Carolyn, it's Carmen. Alan, obviously you did a really wonderful presentation. There's not many questions left. And thank you for that update. And thank you for the shout out to the Shoe Swap Trail Alliance. There's been some wonderful collaboration done with the city, and we really appreciate all the efforts you've made to improve our city for getting people out of cars and onto their feet and onto their bicycles. And wanted to just mention that, how much we appreciate that. And the online fundraiser is going on as we speak, because we couldn't have the big party this year. So wanted to remind everybody to support their Trail Alliance.
Thank you, Carmen. And yeah, thanks for the shout out to the auction that's happening right now. If you want to outbid Steve Fabro, you better get on there quickly.
Thanks, Carmen. And Mark had a question. What do you see as the city's biggest challenges in 2021?
Yeah, appreciate that question. I think I would say two. One is the restart for sure, but we are ahead of the game on it, I think. And so when I say we, I mean you, and I mean government and residents as well. So I feel confident about that. A challenge I think for me is those most vulnerable who we have not been able to accommodate. Those who especially have addiction and mental health issues that make it very hard for them to be housed. This is a challenge not just for our city, it's a challenge for everyone everywhere. And so we have Social Impact Committee. Louise Wallace Richmond is our counselor who's the chair of that. We also have social agencies who are meeting. We are providing housing across the spectrum, but this is a big challenge for everyone.
Awesome, thank you. Next question, Kevin, you have a question. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Thank you. And they say don't ask a question unless you know the answer. And I know the answer, but great job, Your Worship. We're used to that, working with you regularly. But you spoke about the wastewater treatment and told us that sewage flows downhill, but you didn't speak to our recent decision with regards to the expansion of that and the site study and location study. So I'll let you answer it, even though I know the answer.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And I appreciate you asking the question because it's very important and I didn't know if I could fit it in. So now's my opportunity. You know, I think there's not lots of people who know lots about pollution control centers, but at our pollution control center, it is a state-of-the-art pollution control center. And every day, trucks run from the pollution control center to the dump carrying biosolids. So the biosolid piece goes to the dump. The liquid effluent is treated to a very high degree before it is let out into the lake. 90%, 95% of cities within the province release their effluent into bodies of water. So as Kevin was talking about, we did a location study and we had good participation from community members. And I think many of them came the same as I might have come and said, geez, well, we need to move it off the waterfront. We need to move it somewhere else. That's the immediate feeling you have until you learn more. Until you learn that instead of $50 million, it's going to cost 130 to move it. And you're still going to have to release the effluent into the lake because spreading it on the ground is not a solution, especially in the climate that we have. So the decision that council made was to, as was recommended from the study and from the majority of residents who took part in the study, to continue to add on to the pollution control center at its present location. So that you will see that happening.
Perfect, thank you. Next question is from Teresa. Will the slide deck for this presentation be shared? We are recording the meeting, so I will send out a link to that for chamber members and anyone who attended the event. So you can watch over this as well. It'll include the Q&A period and the presentation. Next question is from Lois. Will the visitor center be moved back near highway number 1? Travelers likely won't want to wait on the train to check things out, things to do and see if the visitor center is cross track.
Yeah, that's a good question. And my answer to that is I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because we are learning. First of all, we had a contract with the Chamber of Commerce for over 25 years to operate the visitor center. And they did a fantastic job. Corinne was amazing. The world's changing. And so we're trying to figure out how it's changing. So what I can tell you so far is this year, the bricks and mortar visitor center will run out of City Hall and it's being set up here now. This, of course, is the most expensive piece, the bricks and mortar piece. And that's why we're moving it there, partly to save money. Also, the location is maybe not the best, but it's fairly good. So we're going to move it for 1 year because we want to learn. We're also going to have mobile tourists. You'll see a van or an RV that will go out to people. We learned the analogy is fishing. So you have the fishing hole, which is the bricks and mortar piece where people come to the fishing hole, which would be City Hall. Then you have the angling out, where you put out your lure, and that's where you people follow your lure, which is the virtual piece. And then you have the piece where you actually go where the fish are, which is your mobile piece, which goes out. So we had an excellent study done. We are going to learn over the course of this year, and we will see. So I agree that ideally it would be nice to have a presence on the highway. This year is definitely not the year for a couple of reasons. One, we're redoing the highway, and two, there's going to be COVID restrictions in place. So it's a great opportunity to learn this year.
Awesome. Ron, you have your hand raised. Feel free to unmute yourself.
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Great presentation again. I always look forward to these. I missed the fact there's no lunch this year, but next year. As president of the Downtown Salmon Arm, I do have one question. I know there's probably not an answer, but I want to get it out there anyway. The homeless situation downtown seems to be getting worse. And I hear it from virtually everybody I talk to when we started talking about the downtown. I see it. I'm now located back in a downtown office. And I'm just wondering if the city has any ideas, any plans, any partnerships to help deal with that situation, because it's not a pleasant thing to see when visitors come in there and in their downtown, and we're closing off our washrooms down there because of the homeless people taking up the stage and sleeping on it, things like that. So I'll let you answer that question. I know it's a difficult one, but it's definitely becoming something that's of really importance to us in the downtown.
No, appreciate it. First of all, Ron, I will buy you lunch this year. You can get me next year. A couple of questions that you asked. First of all, the partnership piece. I think the partnership piece is very important because the city is an important partner, but we're not an important financial partner. And so working with all the social agencies that provide assistance to people who need assistance is an importantly acknowledge the challenge. I talk to mayors all across the province, and they're experiencing the same challenge. Some things that we have done, we can do through bylaw. Our present bylaw does not permit asking for money and basically in the downtown because of the situation with banks. It was very unfortunate that we had to fence off the Ross Street Plaza. That was not an easily come to decision, but we needed to do it. We're doing things like redesigning the washrooms at Ross Street because presently, as you know, you can lock the front door to the washroom and that's a problem. So we need to have individual stalls inside that can be locked. So those kind of things we are working on. We're certainly working on the housing piece across the spectrum. As I mentioned, even if you supply housing across the spectrum, there is a minority who are very difficult for them to find housing that suits them. And these are the people I believe that you are talking about. And so, I don't have a magic wand answer to your question. Presence, presence of people is important at all times of the day. We're increasing our bylaw enforcement by a second person, so we'll have 2 instead of 1. We work closely with the RCMP. So those are some things that we're doing. It's a challenge, no doubt about it.
Perfect. Thank you. Our next question is from Carmen again. What do you anticipate for tourism visitation this summer? How do you see the highway development at the West End impacting visitors and locals this summer?
I'll answer the highway one first. There's actually 2 highway projects that are going to take place this summer, and we're working hard to make sure they don't happen at the same time, because for sure the impact, the advantage to our highway project on the west of town is that we have a bridge that goes across the river already and a highway while the other one's being built. That's not to say there won't be some temporarily stoppage. There will be. That's just a part of construction. So that piece will take place some. the contractor has agreed to try to work, major stoppages at nighttime, not during the day, and try to minimize them as much as possible, but we know they will happen. The second project on the highway is the safety corridor right in the downtown, which is the moving of the light and also a number of traffic calming aspects, as well as left turns at all of the intersections. And that should be completed by the May long weekend. End of March, April will be that piece. There'll be some traffic stoppage there as well. The contract again is emphasizing the work at night when major traffic stops need to happen. So that's that piece. Anticipating tourism. I think it's going to be a stay local situation, which we can take advantage of. When there's a problem, you ask yourself, what can we do about it? And I think that we have all kinds of reasons why local people, local to our region, want to come to Salmon Arm and enjoy themselves. So I do not think you're going to see international travelers this year. I doubt you're going to see out of province ones. That's where I think things are at. I think it'll be 2022 before those things happen.
Perfect. Thank you for the question, Carmen. Any other questions from the floor? You can raise your virtual hand or put it in the chat box. Okay, so the question comes from Elon Chiropractic from Scott Hutchinson. Why do you feel that there will be low numbers from out of province?
I guess here in the city, what we have done is we fall under the umbrella of the provincial health officer, and it has held us in good stead. And so I could be wrong. It's hard to know what's going to happen tomorrow right now, but I think that the provincial health officer probably is going to recommend that people stay in their region. I suspect that, like last year, provincial parks and camping might be for provincial people only. So I can't go to Alberta and stay in an Alberta campsite. That's why I think it will be less. But I don't pretend to have a crystal ball. What do you think?
Scott, did you want to reply? They are here.
My own attitude is I really appreciate people who come here and follow the rules, and I think the majority do.
Awesome. Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of tourist questions today. Any other questions from the floor? Again, you can raise your virtual hand, put it in the chat, wave at me. Okay, this is a nice one from Colin Knopf. Is there a short-term plan in place to manage the smell from the sewage treatment plant? My understanding is that this is mainly caused by one specific process, and that if this process was performed in the middle of the night, it would mitigate the effect, but there is no night shift currently.
Yeah, so Colin, you're accurate about the majority of that. The night piece isn't the accurate piece, but it is from one process. It's a process that is an ongoing sort of process. And yes, we have done, as you know, a lot to try to mitigate the odor, but there is still odor there. And the new upgrades, the council voted for no smell. So when we talked about this at council, we talked extensively about the odor, and there is ways to mitigate the odor to a greater degree. Of course, it costs money, but we are willing to spend the money to do it. If we're going to leave it there, we cannot have that odor.
Awesome, thank you. Next question is from June Stewart. Will we ever see any traffic circles? Will we ever see any traffic circles to help flow?
June, I love your question. It's a question that I get asked from time to time. First of all, yes, Are traffic circles the answer to every problem? No. So yes, we will. And I suspect the first one might be very close to your house, June.
Thank you. And Lois, did you want to speak on the tourism and the salmon arm economy? Did you have a comment on that, or? Or maybe just a statement?
Yeah, I can comment and just say I totally agree with Lois that tourism is a huge driver. We've heard probably 25% economy driver here in the city, and especially for small business. And so we totally understand the importance of the tourism piece. I think together, last summer we did better than we thought we were going to do, and I think that was a result of people staying local. I think the promotion of local support of our local economy is huge for not just people that live here, but people in the region, in the regional district area, surrounding Revelstoke, Enderby, Sicamous, those people that see this as our hub. That is extremely important. It's not enough. We need even more outside, but we understand that tourism is an enormous driver. The virtual tourism attraction piece is so important because I'll go back to Belraj and Joey. Belraj and Joey do not stop at a tourist information place. They go online. They say, I want to go to a place that has mountain biking, and then Salmon Arm pops up. And then they go put into their, what are the top 10 things to do in Salmon Arm? They plug it in. They look at a number of communities, and then they decide where they're going to go. So people decide where they're going to go, then go there and do things. It used to be we went places and then decided what we're going to do. Not so much anymore.
Thank you. Kevin, would you like to comment? Feel free to unmute yourself.
And it won't let me. There we go. I just wanted to add to the mayor's reply and suggest that anybody who's interested in tourism, we recently commissioned a study about tourist info services, but it was in my 15 years or 16, I can't even keep track, being involved in municipal politics, it was probably one of the best reports I've ever seen. It's available to the public. And what it made very clear to all of council is that in the past, we may have treated tourism as just something that happens despite the city. The report made it very clear that tourism is a big part of our economic development and a big part of our community. And Alan said maybe 25%. It wasn't in our strategic plan, tourism directly. It needs to be. And so we are working on a strategic plan, but I think everybody should read that tourism report because, as I said, it's one of the best I've seen. And it makes us as councillors much more aware of the role tourism does play and how we have to make it a bigger role. So I don't think I'm off base in saying people should read it, have a look at it, and it does speak to Lois's comment that tourism is extremely important.
Thank you, Kevin,
Awesome.
for these comments.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. If you could send me a link to the report or someone from the city, then when I'm sending out the recording, I can include that link for anyone who's interested in reading the report. That way they don't have to go digging for it.
I'll get someone who's more tech savvy than me to deal with that.
Perfect. Thanks,
We'll
Kevin.
make sure that happens, Carolyn. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then we have another question from June. Can we have an improvements to Canoe Beach, the rental cabins and more amenities? And this might be our last question today.
Okay, sorry, Carolyn, yours cut out. Could you just repeat the question for me?
Yes, sorry. Can we have an update on potential improvements to Canoe Beach, the rental cabins, and more amenities? Question mark.
Okay, thank you for the question. First of all, I'll talk about the rental cabins piece. So we've worked with cabin owners who own those cabins, and they have until October 31st to remove their cabins and move off of that city-owned land. And we've had excellent cooperation. It's going smoothly. acknowledging that it's extremely difficult for families who've probably had, some of them had those cabins in their family for 50, 75 years. It's an emotional thing for them, but we have had good cooperation and a cost sharing to make that work. So October 31st of this year is a deadline date. That land will be reclaimed by the city. The canoe master plan is an important plan. We don't have any money to do it right now, but it has, in our strategic plan discussions, it is one that I think council, I can speak personally, I guess not for all of council, but I believe that they share this. It is, we need to spend some money there. We have started a reserve now in the 2021 budget because it is our beach and it needs work. And so we talk about tourism and we talk about young families, you have to have a beach, and that one is ours. So we are starting June on that project. It's going to be spread over a number of years.
Wonderful question, and thank you so much, Mayor Alan Harrison, for providing us this presentation. We really, really appreciated it. Mark, did you have any closing comments?
I'd like to thank the mayor for taking time out of his busy day to meet with us. It was a wonderful presentation. It looks like he spent a lot of time putting it together. So I just really appreciate the time he took to meet with us today. And all of you, of course, thank you for joining the meeting and making it a well attended meeting. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Thank you.